everybody, it's Kathy Champion and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in North Carolina, and welcome into my craft room. Today we're going to go over this particular bundle. This is called the Posted For You, and it comes with this beautiful little postage stamp punch. As you can see, this is what it punches out, and it's a rectangular postage stamp. And it pairs beautifully with this Posted For You stamp set. Now these are cling stamps, and let me open up and I'll show you. I keep mine, after I put my stickers on them, I keep them in my case like this so that I have a place for them to live. And then I keep my little backer because if you lay this on top of them, it keeps them from sticking to your plastic case. And then it just makes it easy when you get ready to pull them off. They're very easy to manipulate and put on your stamp block. Today I wanted to go over a few things. We're going to make a card with these, but we are also going to, I'm going to show you some heat embossing with a clear embossing powder. If you have colored inks, I don't know if you've collected all of the ink pads from Stampin' Up, but if you do, you have a great amount of ink pads and a wide variety of colors. You would only need the clear embossing powder, unless you want the gold and the silver, which are the metallics, and of course then definitely you'd want those, especially for the holidays. But for your everyday stamping, I'm here to tell you the clear is the way to go. Now I am going to use a black ink, and I am going to use an ink that will last a little bit longer on a card, and that's going to be using the VersaFine. Now this isn't an ink that Stampin' Up! Carries, but this ink, because it's a pigment ink, it stays wet a little bit longer than your dye inks. So that's why I'm going to use that one. I brought out my Stamparatus because what I want to do is I'm going to show you what these look like. These are heat embossed, and then I colored them. Your coloring is so beautiful when you heat emboss an image and then color it. And I use my Stampin' Write markers, not the alcohol markers. And if you notice, they don't bleed through like the alcohol markers. But we're going to play with some things today and see where this takes us. So for right now, I'm going to lay my punch over to the side, and I'm going to get my little mouse and stuff out of my way here. A quick reminder, September is getting ready to come to a close, but if you place a $50 order or more during the month of September, use this host code and you will get a free gift from me that will be mailed out the first week in October. Bear with me because I am having some major surgery, dental surgery, coming up September 30th, and I couldn't be happier because I'm getting dental implants. It's a very invasive surgery to your mouth, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do videos after that, but hopefully I'll feel up to a couple of days after my surgery, maybe 3 days. I would say by the first week in October I will be mailing those out. And I will apologize now if I don't get it to you right away. You will know why. It's because I'll be a little under the weather. But okay, enough about me. Let's move on to this. This host code will also be in the description below, as well as on my blog post. So, and the link for the blog post will be in the description below this video. So just click where it says show more, or it might be a little arrow that points down. Click on that and you'll be able to find all the information that you need to get you where you need to go. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move out one of my the stamping pad, one of the plates, my instruction sheet. I don't need those right now, so we're going to move those out. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to hook it into my Stamparatus. I love the Stamparatus. This thing is so nice. It is a game changer. I'll just put it out there like that. So the first thing I want to do before we even start doing a card is I'm going to put a piece of cardstock. This is Whisper White, and I'm going to grab my magnet you have a place on the back of this that holds 2 magnets. I told y'all I broke my magnets when I first got this, so if you ordered the Stamparatus, please be super careful with your magnets because they are strong. See how strong that magnet was when I set it down? Alright, I'm going to grab the stamp set and I'm going to pull off. I think I want to do the little birds. I think we're going to do a couple of each of these. So I'm probably going to stamp a little bit of both of these. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pick those up, and we're going to have to move kind of fast with this. That's the only bad thing. I'll tell you what, let's cut this cardstock in half. That might be the ticket. I'm just going to cut this right in half, and that will give me 2 pieces so I can do, let's see, this is 5 1/4. So let's do it at 2 1/2 would be 5, 2 3/4. See if that looks close enough, like in half. Not quite, but almost. It'll work. That will work. So what I want to do is I want to stamp a couple on one of them and then a couple on the other one. So why don't we do it like this? I'm going to take one of these off. And I'm going to get the skinnier piece of paper because I want to stamp here. And then let's see if I put it like this. So that's the good thing about having, nope, not quite far enough up. You know what? It's just cardstock. I'm going to revamp, and we're going to do it like this. I'm going to put a full sheet in here, right about like that. I'm going to get that nice and straight. And then I'm going to put my magnet on the end of this just to hold that in place. And before I go any further, I want to grab my, since we know we're going to be heat embossing, I am going to grab my little powder tool. Stampin' Up! Used to sell these and they were called Embossing Buddy. But there's other companies that sell these, so if you don't have one, I think mine was put out by Inkadinkadoo because I got this prior to selling Stampin' Up! So I think mine was at Inkadinkadoo, which is a great company. So I'm going to set that stamp right there. Go ahead and pick it up. And we are ready to go ahead and put our ink on. Now, like I said, I'm going to use this VersaFine because I'm going to use clear embossing powder. So I'm going to ink that up really good and stamp. And then I'm going to bring this down about like that. No, a little bit, one more groove down. And then we can stamp there. So let's go ahead and ink again. Now I'm going to turn my paper around. Like that, and see if we're in the right position. Let's come over a little bit, maybe up a little bit. That looks good. So I'm going to stick my magnet back on right there, and I'm going to ink again. And ink, and move this back up. See how easy it is to position your stamps with this particular tool. It is great. Now I'm going to take this out, And I'm going to move my Stamparatus. I'm actually going to take that out. Laying it like that so I don't get ink on my Stamparatus. I'm going to grab my little trusty coffee filter. And we are going to sprinkle some embossing powder all over these. And don't matter if you think you're using too much. We're going to pour this back into our container. And see, that looks like we got it pretty good. So don't be afraid to put more on it. If you think it needs a little bit more, throw it on it so that you can make sure that you have a good image. So now I'm just going to tap, I always call it thumping. I'm going to thump it off. And then by using the coffee filter, you can just pour your, embossing powder right back in. So I'm going to sit this over here, way out of the way, and I'm going to grab a pair of tweezers. I find this to be the easiest way for me to do this without getting burned. So as you can see, I have my my embossing powders on there, and I have my heat gun. This is a Stampin' Up! Heat gun. It has two settings. It has a 1 and a 2. Anytime you're heat embossing, you want it to be really hot, so you want to do it on 2. So you might ask, when would you use 1? If you watercolor, if you want to quick dry some ink, 1 would be the one that you would need to use. So I'm going to crank this up. It's going to be noisy, so bear with me. You want to let this heat for about 30 seconds. You want it to be good and hot before you take it to your paper. So I'm just going to continue to talk to y'all while this heats up. Maybe I'll take it down this way a little bit so that it's not quite as noisy. But you're going to see, and I think most of you have seen me heat emboss before, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to color once you heat emboss. So I'm going to bring this to my paper now, and you want to go in circular motions. And once I see that it's starting to melt, see how it's starting to get dark? Look how pretty. So just keep moving your heat tool, and then you can move on to your next one. Once your tool is hot, you'll see that it moves much faster in melting that embossing powder to your paper. So nice circular motions. Now once I get this completely embossed, I'm going to turn my piece over. And you want to make sure you're not seeing any more gray, because if it's still gray, it's not completely melted, and you will have embossing powder that will come up, and then you have a mess. So I'm going to turn this over now and just heat it on the back side, just to make it lay flat. Now look how beautiful this heat embossed. See the shine on it? So pretty. So pretty. Now you can do one of two things now. You can go ahead and, I'm going to close this ink pad up so I don't make a mess. You can go ahead and punch this nail, which I think I will. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this in, getting it centered over top of my piece. About like so. And punch. Go over the next one. Just make sure you're getting it evenly distributed around your image. And then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to grab these two off. And this is something you want to take your time when you're punching, to make sure that you're getting your position just where you want it. So I'm going to come over here to the last one. I'm going to manipulate that down in there. Even it up. And punch. So there you go. We didn't have a lot of waste on that piece. Now you've got these 4 beautiful stamps. Now these all go up and down because you see your birds on the limb. But aren't they cute? Now what you can do is go back over them. If you feel any loose powder, you know you did not get that heat emboss good. So this is a good way to test to see if you got everything heated like you should. Now what I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to use, I have a little brush here that I like to use anytime I use embossing powder. I am just one of those people that does not embrace the grit of glitter embossing powder or anything like that. And some of you might be the same way. So if you have a paintbrush or a sweep brush, something like this, again, this is contraband, it's not Stampin' Up, but Stampin' Up doesn't have anything like that. I wish they did. Alright, what I want to do is I want to color my birds and my greenery. And I want to decide what colors I want my birds. So I think one of my birds I'm going to do pumpkin pie. These are the Stampin' Write markers, so you don't have the 2 colors to blend with these. You have 1 color. So that's my pumpkin pie. And I think with the pumpkin pie, I also want to do a Daffodil Delight. This is so saffron. You know what? The Daffodil Delight's right here. See how close they are? This is a little brighter, but I think I'm going to use the So Saffron with that because I think that will blend much better. Or not blend, but coordinate. That's the word. So I'm going to do 2 of my birds in that color. I'm going to do a real red. And my other bird, how about Pacific Point? So we'll have a red bird and a blue bird on one. And we'll have our orange and yellow. And then I think on my end colors, I think I'm going to grab the Misty Moonlight and the Magenta Madness. Or do I want the Rococo Rose? I think I want Rococo Rose. It's muted like that blue, and I think that's going to be a much better choice for me. Alright, and then one more color. Let's do a Highland Heather, and what about a Gorgeous Grape? Okay, we have our bird colors, so let's do all of our birds and then we'll come back and we will put in our greenery. So I'm going to start off with the Highland Heather, and I'm going to use the brush tip. The Stampin' Write markers have a brush tip and they have a pen tip. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a very, I mean, you can write with these. I think that's why they call them Stampin' Writes. So, but this side right here is your brush tip. So I am going to color my birds, and I'm going to move those over out of my way. And I want to show you what happens when you color these images that you have heat embossed. One thing, you're not as apt to go out of the line because you've got a little border there that kind of holds your color in. And look how cute that bird is. And just go up to the top of his wings and his little, like that. So now let's go ahead and close this one up. And this is Highland Heather, and I think it goes there. And now we're going to grab this gorgeous grape. And this, you know what, I don't think I want to use that. I think I want to go in with a pink. I think I want Blushing Bride. Yeah, I think I want a pink bird. Now see what I mean, how easy it is to color? And I would suggest to always use your Stampin' Write markers on small images like this. They work much better on your smaller images. At least I think they do for me. Let's grab some greenery. And I am going to grab, this is the Garden Green. And I think I'm going to start with the one that the little pink bird is sitting on, or standing on. And I'm going to draw right across here. Just like that. Now I am not going to subject y'all to watch me color all of these, so I'll probably go off camera and color, and then when we meet back up I'll show you just how gorgeous these turned out. Let's grab a Granny Apple Green. I think it's nice to have a little bit of lighter green. The one thing I love about Stampin' Up! Is that their colors are gorgeous. The ink pads are so nice and juicy. These Stampin' Write markers are juicy. You get high quality product with these, and I totally love them. Alright, that looks really pretty, so I think I'm going to skip down here, and I'm going to do a couple of leaves here. And I think I want to grab the Shaded Spruce. Oops. You know what? Let's try this in and see what it looks like. I like that for writing, but I think for coloring I like the brush tip better. And I'm going to go down this limb with a little bit darker color. And then I think I'm going to go back with the Granny Apple to complete this little scene. I think I'm going to come in right here with just a little bit. That pretty. I'm going to leave my greens out because I know that I'm going to want to do some more of the greenery like that. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? And you see how beautiful it looks with the heat embossing. There you go. I love that. All right, I'm going to lay that one up there, and I think I'm going to go ahead and color these. And when we get back together, we'll go ahead and put this all together. Be right back. Okay, as you can see, I got these all colored and punched, and now we are ready to go ahead and assemble our card. So what I decided to do was to grab a piece of Whisper White, and I cut this at 6 by 12 and scored it at 6, so this is going to be a 6 by 6 card. So I wanted to grab something that would look pretty on the front, and I think this paper has been retired, but this was from the pack called Woven Texture, I think. And I think it has since retired. Woven Threads, and it was a beautiful paper pack. And I didn't get a chance to use that much of it, and I thought I'm going to pull this in because I think it's pretty, and I think it's going to coordinate so well with this. The fact that it has the white, a little bit of that sort of, I would say that's more of a terracotta tile, but I'm not sure because it does sort of look like one of the rose colors as well. So, but anyway, I just think it pairs really good with that white, and it really makes the white on that pattern paper really pop. But on the back side of this is that beautiful pink color. So I thought, well, since I cut a piece off at 5.5 by 5.5, I wanted another piece of that color to put down right here. And I'm going to give you the dimensions on this. Like I said, the card is 6 by 12, scored at 6. This piece is 2.5 by 5.25. And like I said, we're going to put this down like so. And then I want to use one of these right up here, and I colored, you know, we heat embossed this, and then we went back and colored using our Stampin Write markers, and those colored beautifully. And as you can see, using the heat embossing gave you a defined line around the image, and it makes it so easy to color, and these markers just did a fantastic job. So I'm going to put this one right there. And what I want to do on these is I want to put one down here, and I want this one to go in the middle, and I want them to butt almost together, just about like that. I'm going to slide this down. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to center this one, and then I'm going to put these two, you know, just over it and under it, like that. Now, I used a die set, and let me show you which dies I used. I used the layering circle dies, and I used the 2¼ inch scalloped, and I cut it out of this designer series paper. And what I want to do is I want to put this right about here. And I also, on one of these, I colored the rose a beautiful red, and I stamped on this plain circle, and I cut this out. This is a 2-inch circle, and you can use your punch, a 2-inch circle punch, or you can use your 2-inch layering die, however you want to do that. But what I did is I cut on one of these images that I had colored, I cut out the red flower and one of the green leaves. And all I'd done was used a glue dot and glued that down to the top of here, just to give that a little more emphasis and a little bit of dimension. So we're going to put this card together just like this. So I'm going to move this over to the side, and I know that some of you have been waiting to see how this card came together. You were interested in the stamp set and this punch, and as promised, I wanted to get this done for you so that you could see just how beautiful it is. Now I'm going to use some of the Stampin' Seal, so I'm just going to take this and go right along here like that. And this stuff is really, really good. It's easy to use, and it holds your card like nobody's business. And if you notice, I've gotten much better at using it. I think for me and a lot of other demonstrators, we were used to the old snail, and it had a different feel to it. So it took a little bit of doings to get used to this new Stampin' Seal. But now that I am, I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I think it works so good. It holds your card. And if you're dealing with any types of foils, you're always going to want to use a dry adhesive like this, because if you put liquid glue down, you're going to see the lines up underneath your foil. Just a little tidbit there. So what I'm going to do now is I want to take and turn this over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of this Stampin' Seal. Oops, I was doing so good there with that. Okay. And a little bit right there. This stuff is like super sticky, and this isn't even the plus. This is just the regular, no, this is the plus, I'm sorry. That is the Stampin' Seal Plus. I meant to grab the other one. Oh well. You know, it's all good. We're not going to stress over the little things. We are just going to go with this. Alright, I'm going to also pull out some Stampin' Dimensionals because we want to pop some of this up. We don't want a flat card. We want some dimension on it. So what I'm going to do is I want to pop this up, and I want to see exactly how I want this to land, and I think just like that will be good. So I'm going to use some of my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to get up here where I'm definitely in frame so y'all can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to take and put several of these. I think probably 4 will be plenty. And I need my little, I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's go ahead and see how we're going to put this on. Do I want to glue this flat down? I think I am. I think I'm going to glue this flat down. So again, I think I'm just going to use the regular Stampin' Seal. Oops. This stuff too is so sticky. And I've got some dimension on there, so it made it a little bit harder to put that down on there, but hey, we got it. So what I'm going to do now is I want to judge my distance, because I want to make sure that I'm getting this centered. Just like that. So pretty. And we need our little take your pick tool. And we're just going to pop these backers off of this. And look how easy those come off. Just by doing that. One flew over there, but that's okay. It's kind of like the one that flew over the cuckoo's nest, right? Y'all remember that movie? Woo! Oh my goodness. Alright, let's put this down right about here. And I'm just kind of centering it, eyeball center. And glue that right there. Very pretty. Now I want this one, because I want that blue and that red to coordinate right here. So I'm going to put this one down here. And I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal. Just like that. And I'm going to bring this down so that I have a good little margin. And I want to make sure that it is centered on this little panel piece, just like that. Now remember what I told you about these. I think I'm going to pop these up because I want just a little bit of dimension, maybe on just the middle one. You know, just a little bit of dimension here and there on your cards can add a lot of interest to an otherwise maybe boring, I don't want to say boring because I don't think there's anything boring about this, but sometimes if you don't put a little bit of dimension, your card can kind of land flat, and we don't want that. We want our card to pop and have a point of interest and be very pleasing to the eye. That's the most important thing. So I am going to take this one and stick it right in the middle, and I'm not measuring, I'm just doing the old eyeball thing, and I think that looks good right there. So now we can put this one, and with that one popped up, you can actually butt this right up under it. Just like that. And let's see how this one looks. just like that. I should have gone up just a little bit with this. Let's see if it'll come up. Yep, we did not get it stuck down enough that it won't come up, so let's move it just a little bit. Okay, so I am going to put this one right here, giving myself about that 1/8, and then I'm going to lay this down right about here. And you can always lay these down and make a pencil mark so that you can make sure you get them lined up if you feel like that's something you need to do. Or you can just do what I did. Now I'm going to use some liquid glue on these. So I'm just going to spread a little bit of my Tombow. And I am going to glue this one down right about here. Just press it. And do the same thing on the bottom one. And we're going to go a little bit closer underneath there. The one thing you do want to do is make sure that you're getting them both centered about the same. About like that. That looks good. Now the other thing that I think this card needs is just a little piece of ribbon. And I'm looking to see which ribbon do I want to use. I'm going to grab a pair of scissors, and I am actually using a little piece of Stampin' Up, and it's called the seam binding, and this is just a white, and I think it will give us just that little bit of interest that we need on the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the little bunny ear and the bunny ear, and then if you tie these together like so, I always can do these if I'm not doing them on camera, and anytime I try to do them on camera, I seem like I just struggle. But we're going to get it. There we go. And then all you need to do after you pull it is just adjust your tails and your loops. Just pull them, get them like you want them, and then once you get it like you want it, then you can tighten it down. But I usually end up pulling my loops quite a few times until I get it just the way I want it. And then once you do, then you can commit it to being just there. That's beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off here and here. And I think I want to put that bow right there. And I'm going to do that with a mini glue dot. These glue dots work perfectly for any of your bows that you want to do on a card because they're small. They stick right to your knot. Sometimes you might need to ball it up a little bit, and I think this is going to be the case with this one because it is a little small piece that we're putting that on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in behind it right there, just like that, and I'm pressing that glue dot to the back of that bow, and then I'm just going to press that down right about here. And there's our little bow. Looks so cute like that. And the only other thing that I think we need is maybe, how about some gems? I think some of these little rhinestone, these are your little basic rhinestones, and they are gorgeous. And I think a couple of these on here will just add a little bit of spark and a whole lot of sparkle. And I think that's what we want. So I'm going to go in for this medium one, And I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick this up with. And what's so nice about these, they have adhesive on the back of them, so it makes them so easy to put onto your project. Well, I'm going to chase this one all over that packet, but I'm going to get it. Now I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to grab this little one right here, and I think I want to put it like right here, and I think maybe one more of these little ones. You know, they always say that 3 is pleasing to the eye, so why don't we put one right there. I love that. I think it really does add to the card with our little bow on it and then the little jewels on it. I think it just makes it look so soft and so pretty. So let's see what else we need to do. We're going to need to put a mat on the inside of this. So I think I'm going to go back to this paper pack, and I'm going to pull out this piece, and I'm thinking I want to cut a piece inside out of this and then mat it with a white piece, and then we can stamp our sentiment. So let's pull our paper trimmer back up. Move some of my stuff out of my way. And let's get our paper trimmer. The good thing is this card is just about completed, and I think it came together so pretty. So what I want to do is I want to cut off a piece off of this that is 5 3/4. And let's slice that up. And then I'm going to cut this at 5 3/4. And then we're going to need a piece of white. So I'm going to grab a piece of Whisper White cardstock. And we are going to cut this at 5 1/2. By 5 1/2. And now we can layer this on top, and we've got a beautiful place to put our sentiment. And if you wanted to, you could also stamp another one of those little flowers in the corner of this if you wanted to. Or you could grab something totally different. It's all up to you, because after all, this is your card and you're designing it. So I'm going to go ahead and see what stamp I want to use, and I am thinking Sending Love Your Way. I think that would be a beautiful little sentiment to put right about here. And I think I might want to stamp this maybe right here. This is different than what we used on the card, but this is another stamp in here, and I think I'm going to maybe do it like that. Okay. So stamp blocks. Let's go ahead and do this one first, and I'm going to do this also in the Memento ink, so that if I want to color this, I can come back in with my markers and color it, which is always a good thing to do. Adding a little ray of sunshine on your card. So I'm just going to stamp that down right there. Beautiful. And then I'm going to get my round block. Let's clean this ink up before we get my hand in it and end up with a mess, because I can be messy with ink, and y'all know that's right. So let's wipe that down and pick this up, and I'm going to ink that up. And then we're going to put this right about the middle. I think that'll be good right there. Yeah, I love that. Now we're just going to grab, I think I want to do the Rococo Rose with these flowers, and maybe the Just Jade for the leaves. Okay, let's go in with the Rococo Rose. You know what, I'm going to fan this just for a minute and make sure I got that ink dry before we do this. And I'm going to go in and just put down this is the light Rococo Rose, and I'm just going to, I might use 2 colors on this. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go with the one, and we'll do one of the flowers a little darker than the other. I think that'll be pretty. These markers, they color beautifully, and they are just about foolproof. So pretty. Now you do not want to go in and put down your second color yet, because you don't want to muddy that, and that's exactly what would happen if you go in with a second color right now. Allow that alcohol to evaporate, and then we are going to color this flower. I think I do want to do a second color on that one. And y'all know I get quiet when I'm coloring. It's hard for me to talk and concentrate on getting my color down just right. Okay. I'm thinking I want to do a daffodil. I think I'm going to go in with the darker Daffodil Delight. And we're going to do this one right here. It's pretty yellow, just to give it an extra little pop of color. Like so. And then I'm going to do my leaves. And of course I'm going in with the light Just Jade. A little bit of light Just Jade here. I have to tell you, when you heat emboss these, they're much easier to color. So if you have trouble coloring, try that technique. Try heat embossing. Use your dark ink and go back with a clear embossing powder, and it will pick up whatever color, whether it be black or whether it's black or one of your beautiful colored inks. It will work, and it just is so pretty. I'm going to go into the middle of this flower with just a little bit of this dark, and I'm just going to kind of fan it out like so. And I'm going to do the same thing with my leaves, but I'm going to go in with the bullet tip, because all I want to do on these leaves is just do the stems a little darker and draw up on the leaves like that. Isn't that pretty? It's amazing what just a little bit of color can do. Now again, I'm going to fan this just to make sure that that Rococo Rose dark has dried. And I'm going back in with the lighter, and I'm just going to blend this out. Look how pretty that does it. You're just basically pulling that darker color out to the ends of your flower. And remember, it will change color once it dries. So if it looks too dark, just give it a minute, and once that dries, the color will lift, because that alcohol ink evaporates, and once it evaporates, you see the true color. So that little flower is done, and I'm not going to do anything else to the yellow one. I'm going to leave it as it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this down on my mat. And let's use a little bit of our Stamp and Seal. Just like that, and I usually like to do a little piece across there. Alrighty, so now let's do my little trick. Remember what I told you. I like to take the edge of my paper and set it right to the corner, and you can do that if you don't have the adhesive all the way to the edge, but it seems like I've got it there this time. But you want to keep the integrity of your border just like that. And now we're going to put this inside of our card. Again, I'm going to go in with the Stamp and Seal, just like so, all the way across, little piece right there. And then we're going to commit this to the inside. Just like that. And now this card is done. And I think it turned out beautiful. And y'all know I always love a 6x6 card. I love the real estate that it gives you to work with. And just look how gorgeous it is. We've got a little bling, we've got a little ribbon, we've got lots of color, we've got stamping on the inside, stamping on the outside. How pretty is that card? I love how it turned out. I'm going to zoom y'all in so you can see it up close, and you can find all of the products that I used to make this card in the description below, or even better yet, click on my blog. I'm going to have everything in my blog. I think I'm going to stop listing it in the description box and just do my blog there. And then all you have to do is click on the blog link. It will take you to my site, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. Once you go there, go up to the top to the menu bar and click on blog. And once you go there, you'll be able to see the newest project will show first. And under there, first you'll see the picture of the card. Then you will see the video tutorial, which is what you're watching now. And then under that, you will see a list of all of the products plus the measurements that we used in making the card. So I think that's just a really neat way for you to have everything in one little place, and you can grab it all right there. So I hope you've enjoyed this card. This was this card turned out better than I anticipated, because I weighed it around several different ways and got some opinions of a friend of mine and asked what they thought, and it just kind of developed after much trial and error. But I do love the way it turned out. I love that punch. This punch can be used for so many other things. And I'll definitely be showing more of those items in cards to come. But anyway, I'm going to close out for now so this video doesn't run on too long. I hope that you have a very blessed day. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.